So salutations, Ginger League. I'm back this week and welcome to Super Geeked, where we discuss the latest things on all things super. Now, I'm your host, Susan Sutton, and joining me this week, as always, are Andrew Durning and Kevin Tierney. Gentle Talks. Gorks, how are you?
It was like dorks, gorks, orcs. We're all about the orking in this.
Oh, you can't beat a bit of orking, can you?
As the actress said to the bishop, like you said to me off air. Okay, I would understand if you said tired for this one because I am feeling tired as well. For those not in the know, at the time of this recording, 24 hours ago, I was performing a stand-up comedy gig, and Kev very graciously came to give me some support. Susan had asked off air how we got on. How I got on, I said that was all right. So I think Kev will give the better answer of how it was, because I'm seeing it from the I was shit. Let's get off kind of thing.
No, you weren't shit. You were good.
Oh, thank you.
You said that some of your jokes didn't fall. That's the way you're hearing it from being on stage. But remember, when you're on stage, everything gets muted. You can't really hear the reaction. You can only feel it a wee bit. And it did feel a wee bit tense with some of the jokes you were doing, but it's because of the subject matter.
Yeah.
But once you went on, people were loving it.
Yeah.
The guy next to me nearly spilt his drink at one point because he was laughing so hard at you.
Yay. I like that. But because Susan won't know it, the stuff that was risky, I was doing my mental health comedy for this one. I never done that when you'd saw me in the pilot. So yeah, I'd made a joke and it was I knew it was going to go one way or the other depending on the audience, and yeah, it was like I was expecting rotten fruit to be thrown at me. But how bad it was, I was like, yep. So I was like quickly apologized and moved on. So we got around it.
Really?
Oh yeah, well it was it was a really, really dark joke, really dark. And this is guys that had born before me were talking about, some of them were talking about, certain subjects that we still can't say on air. And I said something that was like, holy shit. I was like, but yeah, in fairness, I perfected my Frankie Boyle joke since the one from previously. That went down really well, so I was quite happy. I was chuffed with that. But I think the most ironic part was there was a comedian on before me, and he was slagging identical twins. I didn't like them. He thought there was something weird about them. Went into some weird skit about how his nightmare was being in a three-way with the Proclaimers. So I was like, if there's ever a guy to follow, it's this guy. The fact that I have identical twin boys. So you imagine like the pop that it got when it was just us talking about, when I was talking about it in McCool's, the place I had to stop for about a minute to let all the reactions die down, because he'd essentially set me up and I just knocked it down. And I was like, you weren't the best comedian, but thank you. You got a reaction for me. I appreciate it.
Did he speak to you afterwards? I'm assuming that he did not know that you've got identical twin boys. So did he speak to you after? Did he kind of make a fast exit?
No, he shook my hand as I left and said, well done. And that was about it. But yeah,
wow.
He was an older comedian, I would say, close to about I would say late 50s, early 60s. About that. So some of his humor I was like, it just didn't land for a newer generation. I mean, I thought so. At least I was kind of glad. I was like, I don't think I was the worst act on, or the worst received act, I would say. But no, the standard was brilliant. All the comedians were fantastic. The host, the MC, compared did a great job. And the headliner act just absolutely crushed it. It was brilliant. So it's a nice experience and a nice way to round off 2022 for me. So I'm quite chuffed.
Yeah. So will you be doing it again?
I don't know if I'm allowed back. We'll see.
Really?
We'll see what happens. Because I shot over my time. And the music came on to basically play me off, which is what they were going to do anyway. But I was literally on my last joke when it played off, so I was just like, cool, took a bow, off I went. And then the compere comes on and says, right, we weren't putting the sound on to rush him off because he was shit. Like, it's just he went over his time, blah, blah, blah. That killed it stone dead. I was like,
Wow.
cheers. But in fairness, he had to say it because he didn't want, I was doing it to as a favour, like, not to, so that people didn't think, oh, he got huckled off because he was shit. And it was like, no, I got huckled off because, well, I overshot my time.
Yeah,
So I apologized to the sound guy afterwards, and he was like, don't worry about it, man. The first, you won't be the last.
yeah. Oh, that's good. It's all experience anyway, but I'm glad you did it because I know you're on the verge of like quitting the whole thing because, things have been so shit for you, but I'm
It's
really, really
always,
glad that you did it.
yeah, it's always on the verge of quitting because it's not like proper thing for me. I say I'm like the Godfather 3 of comedy. Once is enough. So I just kind of roll with it, and it's like if I get asked or or something that props up, fair enough. If not, I'm okay with it. I mean, it's been too much like self-indulgent me bullshit talking. We're here for Super Geeked. We're here for to embrace our darkness. So Susan, what is the first topic that Kevin kindly researched for us tonight?
Right. Well, with Inspector Gadget just turned 40. My God, he's younger than me. Unbelievable. Now they're talking about another movie and a reboot of the series. Do you think that he deserves to be brought into the future, or should he stay in the nostalgic past of yesteryear?
Right. And normally I let Kev go first on this one, but because I have a little bit of the nostalgia goggles for Inspector Gadget, I'll get my bit out of the way. I loved it for what it was at the time. Thought it was great. Well, I love the fact that you never saw the villain's face either. So there were so many fan theories and speculations of who it was. Then they brought out the movies. Because there was one with Matthew Broderick in the role, and then there was one that had the guy who played the stupid guy for Third Rock from the Sun. And they were just both bad. They weren't good like at all. I think if they were ever going to bring it back, they would have had to do it like I think the last decade in the 2010s because the 80s was in its prime at that point. The whole retro thing.
Yep.
Seems to be like every 30 years they go back into that time frame for retros, and it was the 80s turned on the 2010s. So I think they've overshot the window, and I think they should just kind of leave it be because it's nice goofy nostalgia, and I'm okay with that. But what about you, Kev? What do you think?
I think the same after those two live action movies, and they did sort of do another cartoon, and it wasn't as well received. They'd changed so much of it, and people were like, this isn't Inspector Gadget.
Yeah.
So they're talking about going back to like how it was and possibly making it a live action series. And it's like, as long as it's not like the films that he's done and you follow the actual story and have the stupid slapstick comedy that they had, because the new series didn't have as much of that. And it's like that's what made it Inspector Gadget. Really, it was the stupidity of the whole thing.
That and the theme song. The theme song is just
and the theme song, yeah,
absolutely amazing. Like there was just that
So
point.
can I ask?
Yeah, of course. On you.
I was going to say, can I ask that if it did come back, who would you each think would make a good Inspector Gadget?
Ooh, a very interesting question. I would like to see Matt Smith. Well, he's got that kind of, from doing Doctor Who, he's got that kind of personality about him. He can play that. He's got that range. He's got that kind of thing about him. Either that or David Tennant, because he seems to take anything that's like that type of retro and turn it into gold, quite literally. Because he did the DuckTales reboot that came out.
Right, yeah.
He was Scrooge McDuck, and it was absolutely fantastic. I put it on for the boys, and then I started watching it for myself because it was so good. They dove into a lot of different things. A lot of adult themes he didn't expect. They're like, how come Huey Dewey and Louie doesn't have a mum? Well, let's find out, kind of thing. And I was like, oh, there's mystery and stuff behind it as well. And I was like, it's really good. They did it and brought it up to date in a good way. And having an actor like David Tennant is always a good draw. So I think it has to be kind of someone from Doctor Who. Even though I'm not a fan of Doctor Who, but I still think those two could pull it off. What about you, Kev?
They two probably could, but I was thinking more outside the box with it and thinking He's a bit older now, but Matthew Lillard.
Oh, you're thinking outside the TARDIS.
Yep.
So very interesting. Why do you think? Why do you think that that one in particular?
Just with the actual range he's got, you always see him in like comedies, and then when he does something dramatic, it's like, wow. Because with 13 Ghosts, he had his one-liners in it and all that, but you could tell that it was, a dramatic film. It was a horror film.
Yeah.
And he played it the way that they wanted him to, because the part was written completely different, and he came in and read for it, and they changed the script based on the character that he was bringing into it. And obviously, he's Shaggy as well. So it's like, who else better than somebody who's played a nostalgic character from the 60s to play somebody?
Do you think they might like kind of typecast it where they would be like, right, he's not as good as when he plays Shaggy kind of thing? I think that could maybe...
It might sway them. They might try and go for somebody a bit younger than that, somebody like in their like 40s, so that they can get like 10, 15 years out of him.
Yeah, true.
Because he spoke about retiring in the next 10 years. So
that's an interesting one. Susan, you're aware of Inspector Gadget? Right, I take it.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, the cartoon. Yeah, when I was younger.
So what would you think? Like, you've heard kind of our thoughts on actors. Like, who do you think would do it? Would you want to stick to, the quote unquote white male? Would you want to change it up?
Cool, blimey.
Because we're obviously looking at it from, that nostalgia and straight white guy eyes. Whereas what people could be like, he doesn't need to be white, doesn't even need to be a guy.
Doesn't. Yeah. Do you know, I can just visualize him as like perhaps, Asian as in Chinese or something like that, because you can get like a lot of Chinese, especially men, I think are seen as being quite scientific, quite knowledgeable and everything else. So I think perhaps to have somebody like that as the character of Inspector Gadget, but I've also got, what's his name in my head? Oh, it does the martial arts, but comedy. Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking
like
that when you said it, like having a Jackie Chan style guy, obviously but a wee bit younger, so that we don't potentially kill Jackie Chan.
No, but I think that humor behind it, yeah, definitely. Anyway, stop asking me silly questions.
No, it's a genuine point. Well, and I think that's actually that's an outside the box one. Because I really think if we were going down that road, Jet Li could do it. He's got the martial arts kind of training proper, but he also has comedy elements to his game. He's learned under Jackie Chan, as well. So that could be one that could be an interesting one. You heard it here first, guys. If this goes ahead and Jet Li gets cast, you heard it here first. We'll know people are watching us.
Let's talk about. I was going to say, let's talk about another show. Shut up.
Yeah, that's why I needed a drink.
But yeah, as I say, let's talk about another show that's turning 40 this year. I can't believe how time flies. But it's Knight Rider. Now, this show made David Hasselhoff a household name. I mean, he was quite sexy back then, but now, but it was a worldwide phenomenon as well. Now, the Hoff has been trying to get a revival with the original cast for years. No, please don't. With production being stalled, do you think we will get another chance to see Michael Knight and Kit on the screen ever again?
Well, you kind of put your point forward there when you were reading that question out. So I want to ask you, Susan, why are you so against it?
I'm not against it. Well, I'm not against a remake of it. I mean, I did used to watch it when I was younger, but the Hoff needs. If he's talking about having the original cast back in, no, really? Okay, he's got a young wife. We've seen her in all the adverts. I'm salivating here. Don't know why. But
you're like, no to the Hoff, yet you're salivating on him.
Maybe it's his younger wife. No. But yeah, we've seen all the adverts with the younger wife. So, you know, I mean, she obviously loves him for his youth and good looks and everything else, got nothing to do with money.
Yeah, of course.
But I mean, how old is he now? He's got to be in his 70s.
Something like that, yeah. But also, it's as you're saying, like, you know, you remember Knight Rider, what from that time. What do you think it could be adapted for modern audiences, or would they have to try and stick to that formula?
I do think it could be adapted, because of the way things have progressed over the years, obviously, and Kit will be able to do a hell of a lot more than back in the day. But just no to the original cast, no.
Okay, what do you think? Do you think they could do it in the style of what they tried to do with the Baywatch movie, where they had, like, you know, for the Baywatch, they had the new for Susan, because I'm not sure if she would have been aware, but they had like this new crew, and the Hoff made a cameo, as his previous character, and it was kind of like a passing the torch kind of thing. It didn't work.
I was going to say more like passing the torture.
Yeah, so it didn't work basically. But the idea of doing something like that for a Knight Rider thing, where, you know, he's kind of worn down and like not being able to kind of carry on with it. So it's like having to bring someone in, mentor and teach them. And then in my twisted brain, tragically, Hoff would have to die. You know, like in the line of duty or whatever, and then they carry on the legacy for him. And that way the Hoff gets his send off, but it sets up Newcastle going forward, kind of. For Kev, I'll put it to his idea. Like, it would be Batman Beyond kind of idea.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. What about you?
I just think it should stay where it was. They've tried revivals, they've tried things like that where he shows up every now and again and passes the torch, but he didn't die. So he was still there somewhere. He just went and retired on a beach somewhere. Ha ha ha. But they got, it wasn't William Daniels who'd done Kit in the remake one in the late 90s. It was Val Kilmer who they got in. So they had some big names in the show. They got David Hasselhoff back to do like 3 or 4 episodes. They had Val Kilmer, but it didn't hit the same as it did from the 80s. They've done like a couple of films, tried to reboot it again. And I think the last time was like 2002 is when it was. And that just done completely terrible. And it's been since then that David Hasselhoff's been saying, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. But nobody will pick it up because everybody has seen it go downhill. It's not like it's went down and then up in resurgence. It's just dying. So I think it should be left where it is and leave it as the nostalgic goodness that it was.
Well, if anybody does think that my idea is a good one, I will put it out there for Ginger Media. Hoff, get in contact. We'll see what we can do here. Geese the cash.
It does sound a good idea, though.
We'd need to do it soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Because William Daniels is like 94. He's partially retired. He does things now and again. We'd need to get him in for one last time before he retires.
I know this is going to sound bad, but especially the way Val Kilmer's voice is now, bring him back from the 90s one. Well, I know that obviously the cancers, like, you know, took his voice and he's got that kind of thing about it, but it's the right type of voice that you would want for Kit. Well, and it would give him some acting work that he desperately deserves. Because of everything that's happened. So yeah, I would be like, you know what, get Val Kilmer in for the nostalgia about it. Was like, you know, seen those wee 3 or 4, thought they were shite, but it was a good shite. And then you have the Hoff coming in with that. The ideas are forming here, man. They're forming.
Just so you know, he's 70, David Hasselhoff.
Right.
Good bit of knowledge. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Moving on from the Hoff.
Yeah. I'm going to have nightmares now. Sorry. He was good in the, you know, good looking. Well, I mean, it still wasn't my sort, but he was good looking back in the day. But No. Right, moving on.
Yep.
With HBO changing the Watchmen's classification to a limited series and Damon Lindelof saying that they wouldn't return to do a second series, there seems to be less hope for a second series. Now, do you think it should stay as a one-off series, or is there more of a story to tell?
I never watched the series because I didn't have like, Sky Atlantic or HBO or whatever they had. What the reviews I heard were good. What with any type of like kind of genre like this, there's always room for more stories. There's always room for more development. It's just the right stories to tell. So and they had great cast. I mean, was it Viola Davis or
Yeah.
what the one she was in like Big Bang Theory is like the HR lady, but she's a much like better actress than most of that stuff. But so there was big names attached to it, a very diverse cast as well. So I think it's a ball dropped. Personally, I think it would be something that a lot of people would get behind. But at the same time, because it had big names to it, their schedules might not be able to align. There might be conflicts with it. So it could be other things that are out with the control. But we'll be glad that we got what we got, I think. But Kev, did you watch it?
I did. I watched it. I think Regina King is what her name
Regina
was.
King,
That's who it was.
right.
That's
My
it.
apologies to Viola Davis.
Who is also tremendous.
Oh yeah, absolutely fantastic. Just the wrong one.
Yeah. But I watched it and there was so much potential for like more seasons. They didn't finish the story. It's like with the film, there was so much potential to keep it going, to do another one, but because they were following the comic to the letter, basically with the film, they're like, right, that's it. Alan Moore didn't do anymore. Then they done the series. Alan Moore said, I do not want to have anything to do with the series. He told them, don't put my name on it. You can say it's based on the film, but don't have my name anywhere near it. He didn't want it to continue. But the fans have been like 50-50. Some people say they should have more. Some people say they shouldn't have more. And honestly, I would like to see more episodes. It went completely in the opposite direction from where I thought they were going to take it. And it's like they need some more, I think.
Do you think that's why he wasn't wanting to be attached to it, because he felt like it wasn't his vision of Watchmen?
I think so. It's not really in the same style that the film was in, the comic was in. It wasn't as dark because the film was dark, the comic was darker, but this was like quite light compared to like the rest of the universe, and it does link into the film, but they could have took it completely in the opposite direction from the film and then continued it and just say it's Watchmen. It's not based on that anymore. It's just set in a parallel universe where that happened.
Do you think there could be a crossover potential between the movie and the TV show?
There could easily be. And with the cast as well, they've all said that they would happily do another season.
There you go. Never seen that.
So,
yep. You could always get it where it's some sort of like, parallel universe, but it goes back to the time where, the actors from the original Watchmen were still in it. Like, imagine getting Jeffrey Dean Morgan back as the comedian and getting Rorschach back in. That would just be, and I want that mainly because it's a ginger guy. And we need more ginger guys in this genre.
Yeah.
But what do you think, looking at it from an outsider's perspective, where I said it was quite a diverse cast, and then the author's like, don't put my name on that. What do you think, kind of looking like from an outsider's perspective of it? Do you think, like, if the cast want to do it, fair dues, or just like, just leave it be? We don't really care as normies.
I think if you have something, something's been, and the cast have said, years down the line, listen, I'm up for doing that. Then why not? Because they, surely they'll be giving 100%. They know what's at stake, so they'll give 100%. And if it was a success before, then why not?
Very true.
Does that make sense?
No, it does. It does. Like, that's what me and Kev can always be too close with the superhero kind of stuff. Whereas from outsiders' perspective, what the whole thing is that they want to bring in a broader demographic, they want to bring in a better target audience. Like, so like they know that they've got the dorks in the back pocket, no matter what they do. It's like they need the normies. So we'd have to look at it from a normies perspective.
But I think also having said that, if the cast are willing to do it, to do something else, then let them do it. But there will be times when they may not be suitable. They may be too old. David Hasselhoff and Harrison Ford.
Yeah, that's my Hoff. That's my Hoff.
I mean, Jeremy Irons was in it.
Jeremy Irons is a fantastic actor. So underrated. I still think he's so underrated.
Yeah.
How old is he now? 90?
He must be in his 70s at least.
Yeah, I would say late 70s, but I wouldn't want to insult the man. Like he's still got the chops to do it, so why not? Right, since we are talking
I'm kind of saying the 90s.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm kind of saying about in these 90s because I remember me as a child seeing him on TV.
Ooh.
He's 74. 74 he is.
There we go.
Wow.
Apologies to Jeremy Irons.
Nothing personal.
Yeah. Well, since we did touch on it very briefly, Harrison Ford, did any of you see the Indiana Jones trailer?
Yes.
And obviously a lot of footage of Glasgow decked up in the American attire. So that's one of the main reasons that I would say to watch it. Because there was a big kind of movie trailer drop. It was like Indiana Jones 5. There was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. There was another teaser for Ant-Man Quantumania.
Yep.
But what did you for Transformers 1? What was it, Rise of the Beasts or whatever? Because basically it was like the Beast Wars ones. So of course I had to contact my brother about that because he's a massive Transformers fan. So what did you think of the trailers?
The Transformers one, I'm mixed about that. Just it seems to be Michael Bay's just going, let's throw in everything we can in this film, hope it sticks, so we can get another 2 films out of it.
It's all about making money.
It is. But the other ones, I'm actually really excited to see them all, especially the Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah, I think that's
going to be. It's going to be a gut punch.
It's going to be emotional. Well, that's the only one that so far that I would think I've not, because I've still not kept my finger on the pulse with MCU as I used to. But like that's one I would want to see the conclusion to. So we'll see what happens. So let's move on to the final point, Susan.
I was going to say, before you two guys start greeting your eyes out, right? With the Flash season 9 being essentially the end of the Arrowverse, the rumors are some people are returning to help stories come to an end. Do you think that Stephen Amell,
that's right, Stephen Amell,
should come back to see off the Arrowverse?
I'll very simply say yes. I think so. It started with him. He needs to be involved in the end of the Arrowverse. Well, I don't know how they do it because, spoiler alert, one of his character was killed off. In the final series of Arrow. But he's up to return. He's always said, if they want him back, he'll come back. He was great as the character. It's a great role. I thoroughly enjoyed Arrow when it was on. Yep, bring him back. No brainer for me. What about you?
I totally think he should come back. The last scene should be him and Barry just talking it out, because the Flash can go back in time, and tell Oliver everything that's coming, and Oliver will say, "Well, if that's what's coming, that's what's coming."
Yeah.
You can't change it, because if you change it, this won't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then Barry will go back and fix things, and the end will be that.
Yeah. Or it goes right back to when Green Arrow was still the douche Oliver Queen, or didn't care about anything, and like, right, this is what's coming, and he'll just go, I ain't getting on that fucking boat. And then the whole thing just ends. Well, but I think what they would really need to do to get the women to come back to watch the finale would it just be the final shot would have to be Stephen Amell on the salmon ladder.
Mm-hmm.
With his shirt off, obviously, of course.
Of course.
Well, that
that's just for you. That's just for you.
Yeah, of course. Well, I look at him and think, right, you've got what I would never attempt to do, and I'm okay with that. Fire away. Well, so if I pitched that to you, Susan, where it was like, it was just going to be like Steve Amell with his ripped body doing a salmon ladder, would that get you to watch just that scene?
Oh, yeah.
There we go. I love the way, because he just did the whole, ooh, say his side shoulder. Yes.
Well, I was just trying to visualize it, and I was trying to put myself next to him as he ripped off his shirt.
Yep.
And I was thinking, what should I wear?
Yeah. You would be directing that scene, guarantee it. You'd be like, they'd be on to take like 106. They'd be like, still didn't get it right. We need more sweat.
That's not me. That's not me. You know me. I would try and get the best out of the person. So, well, yeah, I would try and get the best out of him. So maybe several takes might be required. Yeah. You're right. You're right.
Yes, definitely. As someone who has been directed by you, but not in a salmon ladder. Well, I know you want several takes to get it just right.
Exactly.
Yep.
So on that note, we talk about wrapping up. So that's it for this show. Now, hopefully, again, that's given all the viewers something to think and talk about. So until next time, he's super.
There we go.
I nearly did it. He's Ginger. And I've been your host, Susan Sutton. Thank you.
Bye.